Pee-wee's Christmas special. So, like, how did you watch Pee-wee's Christmas special? Because I saw it, like, on Netflix, like, a couple years ago, but it's not on Netflix anymore. Do you...
I haven't...
Do you own a VHS with it on it?
I have the original recording from 1988. Mm-hmm. We recorded it off television.
Okay.
And I need to locate that. That was, like high priority for me preserving it. Mm-hmm. Along with... the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back premiere. It was a heavy rotation.
So you saw it live, like you taped it and saw it, like...
I was like 6 years old. We recorded it.
Because I remember kind of like, whenever it was on, I was like playing outside, and then I came in the house, saw a little bit of it, went back outside. I was like a huge Pee-wee Herman fan.
Me too.
And like, you know, from like the Pee-wee's Big Adventure onward, like, you know, saw that in the theater, and then, you know, I think it was like somebody's birthday, like we all went to the movies and saw Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and I was just hooked. I was a fan, and you know, did the imitation and everything.
Me too.
But by the time the Christmas special came out, I was kind of like, I was getting a little bored with Pee-wee, because that was like 5 years later, you know.
Yeah,
so
it was.
Pee-wee was feeling a little bit tired. Like, I loved Pee-wee's Playhouse the first season, but then when the second season came around, they started changing some things around. He had a different scooter,
okay,
and there was a different song for the King of Cartoons, and they recast the King of Cartoons and stuff. Like, and they started introducing like Tony Baloney, the puppet and stuff. Like, and then pretty shortly after that Christmas special, that was when, like, you know, Pee-wee sort of, you know, had his whole scandal and stuff, you know.
And we owned at one point Big Adventure, and then we had Big Top Pee-wee.
I've still never seen Big Top Pee-wee. Like,
that one was it was definitely not as good.
Well, I mean, Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a classic. One of the great movies, probably Tim Burton's best movie, and that's saying a lot.
Good.
But it's like every fucking scene, every fucking moment is so great.
Phil Hartman
still hilarious. Yeah. Phil Hartman co-writes. And gives himself a tiny role in it. Like,
I forgot what's his part in that again?
He's just at the very, very end when they're at the drive-in watching the Pee-wee's Big Adventure movie with James Brolin and Morgan Fairchild as Pee-wee and Dottie. He's just a reporter interviewing Francis when, like, Francis is surrounded by reporters, and he's like, "Oh, so you're the one who taught Pee-wee how to ride his bike? Is that so?" You know, and then Francis gets on the bike and gets like catapulted out. That's his role. His role is just like a reporter talking to Francis. I kind of was half paying attention, you know, just popped in here and there when it was on, and then never saw it again until it was on Netflix, you know, decades later.
Awesome that it was on. I missed it when it had its pop back in on Netflix.
Yeah, and I loved it, and of course, you know, made up for lost time. And it was, you know, it's like, yeah, I was getting tired of Pee-wee, and Paul Reubens, from what I understand, was also getting tired of Pee-wee by that point. But watching it now, it's as good as anything he's done. It's super funny. I love the opening. It's got bum bum ba da 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 ba da. It's like it's got this like Marine choir, and then he comes in and he's like Tony Baloney, and you know, he's like calling out all his cast.
Tom, like, obsessed over it when I was little and watched it so much, but I haven't watched it in years.
Yeah.
And when I rewatch it, you're right, seeing new stuff, like seeing stuff again with different like perspective, like having just the fact that he had the Marine choir at the beginning of the episode. He was so funny. I never
like it was the biggest budget episode of Pee-wee's Playhouse, you know. And he, like, you just think about this career, because he has this. He's like one of the groundlings. He has this character, Pee-wee Herman, that kind of becomes real hot within like the groundlings, and then he creates within that this sort of stage show.
Yeah.
And then that stage show is shown on they make an HBO special out of it. And that stage show becomes like the basis for Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Oh, wow.
Pee-wee's Playhouse is kind of like an adaptation of that stage show. And then he does this movie, the Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which becomes this huge hit movie. And he's just got this like great character that like the public is just kind of obsessed with. Yeah. And he's doing, and you see him on any of these talk shows, it's always like A+. He always like knocks it out of the park.
Appearances.
He's got, and then I was watching him on like an episode of The Tonight Show hosted by Joan Rivers, and she's asking him like, "What's next?" and he's talking about he's making an album, like, and he's talking to all these people. I don't know if the album ever got made, but
wow.
he's like hotter than hot, and then he takes that clout to kind of like create this, you know, one of the greatest like Saturday morning kids shows ever made.
So good.
You know, and yeah, adapting his stage show, and then like putting in like some of the other elements that, you know, that he's developed, and it's just like you know, pure gold, you know, and it is funny like his influences, because he's doing one of those like old school kind of, you know, kids shows like yeah, a little bit Mr. Rogers, but then also like Soupy Sales and stuff, and like on Howard Stern they're always playing this like soundbite of Soupy Sales talking about Pee Wee Herman, and he's like, I don't like talking chairs. I don't like talking. And because like his critique, because people would ask him like, oh, Pee Wee's kind of doing like a version of your old show. What do you think of it? I don't like talking chairs. Because his thing was like, look, I had a talking dog on my show, but a dog is a living thing. A dog is your friend. So making a dog that talks isn't that big a jump. But a chair is an inanimate object. You can't make a talking chair. You know?
I'm like, a talking chair. He's like,
I don't like talking chairs.
I'm gonna find that that soundbite like that.
My mom got to meet Soupy Sales. She was like so excited to meet
That's
Soupy
amazing.
Sales. Yeah, I think he had like some book out or something. He's got a talking clock. That just doesn't make any sense. Those are inanimate objects. I don't like talking chairs. But so then the Christmas special is like, you know, it was prime time. You know, it's like an episode of Pee-wee's Playhouse. You got all the little the stop motion animation and stuff, and you got Pee-wee's Playhouse. But it was prime time. Like that's kind of a big deal when you take your Saturday morning show and bring it into prime time.
Dude, that's amazing. I don't like talking chairs.
He's taking a stand.
You're right. It's prime time. They've got Cher on there at the height of her. She had like the same year basically. She got nominated, or she won an Oscar for Moonstruck.
Yeah, he had high octane stars.
Big time.
There. And the one that's great that I always think of is Whoopi Goldberg, because Whoopi Goldberg was huge at that time. So like a mega star, and he's like blowing her off and big time,
hilarious.
And it's so funny. And he's like, "Sorry, you can't be on my show. You can't be on my special." And like, meanwhile, she's on his special.
Yeah.
But he's like, you know, and she's like, "Well, can I be on next year?" And he's like, "No, it's all booked up." You know, like it's so funny the way he like big times her and blows her up.
And it cracks me up too with Dinosaur, like when she's doing the 12 Days of Christmas. She keeps going on and on, and I was always obsessed with him putting that like doll of himself like in the booth. He like slips out. She just keeps going on and on.
Yeah, he like, it's just so fun. Like he was so huge, and like everybody wanted to be a part of the Pee-wee thing, and yeah, like Pee-wee would kind of like make fun of you, like but like they were up for it. It was you know, like they wanted to be part. They wanted to be roasted by Pee-wee. Have him, you know, make fun of them a little.
The runner of there's stuff like I just think about this Christmas special like weekly throughout my whole life, like the Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon runner where he is like punishing them.
He's like the worst boss or whatever. He's like super abusive to them, and
he's only giving them bread and water and stuff. And he's like
he's making them like clean his floor or whatever. And he's like, they show him these little crafts they're making for these Christmas cards, and she's like he's like, I need 500 of them by the end of the day. And they're like, 500? And like, yeah, it's, you can see how he met a lot of these people, because like, so Joan Rivers, he would always do like, he would be on Joan Rivers on the Tonight Show, and then I guess when she had her Joan Rivers show, he'd be a guest on there. But so she comes in for like this brief via video thing from like the set of Hollywood Squares, and then Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon, he was in that movie Back to the Beach with them, where it was like one of those like beach blanket bingo kind of reunion kind of thing, and he sings "The Bird Is the Word."
That's
bird is the word. Yeah.
I remember Paul Reubens too was in a Cheech and Chong movie.
Yeah.
He was like, he had like cocaine all over his face or something. Katie Lang, great performance. And then Grace Jones.
Yeah, Grace Jones singing the Little Drummer Boy or something.
Little Drummer Boy, and there's a detail that I didn't realize when I was little. Apparently, she shows up in a crate. It was originally going to the White House.
Right, it was supposed to go to the White House, but it showed up at the Playhouse. They took it to the Playhouse. Yeah, yeah. Reba, the mail carrier. She's like, oh, it says the White House. It was supposed to go to the White House, not the Playhouse. Little Richard. That's probably the funniest part of the whole thing. He's like Little Richard on ice skates, and then Pee-wee's showing him how to do it, and he's doing all these tricks, and then like his body double, is there.
I always think about Little Richard's ice skates. There's 2 blades on each thing, and I was like, are those kid skates, or are they like safety skates, or just so he can like stand on them? I think about his.
Well, I mean, Little Richard was was pretty old by that point. I mean, he lived much longer than that, but he was pretty old at that point. So
gotta keep an eye on Little Richard. Yeah. And I think of every time it's snowing, I still say mystery tracks in the snow.
Well, there's the part where it's like magic screen, Magic Johnson. When Magic Johnson shows up on Magic Screen.
I forgot he was in that. He rides in the sleigh with them.
Yeah, it's star-studded. I mean, it's 1,000,000. It's Night of 1,000 Stars.
Huge.
Yeah, they kind of changed it up between season 1 and season 2, and like you got to do that to kind of freshen up your show. But I, as a kid, I was just like too tuned into that. Like I didn't want them to change a thing.
Yeah, like the claymation kind of stuff was awesome.
Yeah, Gary Panter did a lot of like the design work for it.
I love Inside the Refrigerator.
Yeah. The food in the refrigerator, like that when he's introducing, like when he's doing that song and he's introducing everybody that's there. The food inside the refrigerator.
I always like when they're outside on like the frozen lake. You can still see the Playhouse like in the background.
Yeah, with the Sphinx on top.
The Sphinx on the roof.
During Pee-wee Fever, it's like they would have like at the video store you could rent the VHS of the Pee-wee HBO show. So I'd watch that, and it was like his persona, his character. It's like a kids show host or whatever, but it was created for adults.
Yeah.
And then they sort of repurposed him as sort of a kids performer or whatever. But like, so the HBO show was a little edgier.
Edgy.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna watch that. Oh, they're having the Christmas party, and I think this is where I think from this special I learned about like everyone's distaste for fruitcake.
Yeah.
Because everyone's bringing them the fruitcake, and then he uses all the fruitcakes they give him to build like a new wing on the Playhouse.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I hope it's not fruitcake. Like the King of Cartoons has a gift from him. He's like, oh, as long as it's not fruitcake. And the King of Cartoons is like, oh, it's definitely not fruitcake. It's 2 fruitcakes.
I think we during our last year's holiday party exchanged fruitcakes.
Yes, yeah. I mean, the other thing you'd hear, like Johnny Carson would always do jokes about fruitcakes, and he would say how like there's actually just one fruitcake and everybody keeps giving it back to each other. But like my parents loved fruitcake. They were not on board with any of the fruitcake. They loved the
anti-fruitcake. Yeah. You know what? I didn't have any fruitcake till I was in like college. I was like, I wanted to try it for like what the hell?
For scientific
purposes. Builds the wing, and then during the party, I think Santa shows up, and Pee-wee's gonna give him like milk and cookies, but he said that he got all the presents Pee-wee asked for because he asked for so much. He had no presents for any other children in the world. Offers his presents back to Santa. I was like, oh, that's nice, Pee-wee. But he's like, but his reaction to when he tells them, he's like, I don't have any presents for any of the other boys and girls. He's like, oh, sorry, tell me all about it later.
Right, yeah, Pee-wee, it is funny how dismissive, like, Pee-wee is like, the character is like, he's such a piece of shit. He's so, like, narcissistic, and, and he's always blowing people off. Like, he blows people off, like, better than anybody. It's really funny.
So fucking funny. Yeah. He big times Whoopi, like a megawatt hilarious star.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like, what the star wattage from this special is off the charts.
It's like a snapshot of a moment in time. Like, it is really cool seeing where it's like, okay, like, if you're looking for the 80s, if you want to enjoy some 80s nostalgia, turn this on,
It's great, still holds up. It gets you in the Christmas mood.
Yeah, for sure. One of the best Christmas-related, specials.
Learned about, you got the Del Rubio triplets.
Yeah.
You got Charo.
Some of that's like partially like nostalgia, and it's like nostalgia for like baby boomers like that. But like for us, we weren't, like it was just kind of like all this weird stuff he's bringing in. Like we don't get the references as kids.
Like you kiss under the mistletoe. I learned from that.
Yeah. When he was on like Joan Rivers, it's like he's pulling out like Pez and like offering her Pez and stuff, and that was kind of like this era. Like we just live in like a state of constant nostalgia now. But it was where it's like, hey, remember Pez? It was kind of like for these baby boomers and stuff. It's like, remember when you were a kid and there was Pez and stuff, and that it was just like so hilarious that he's like introducing Pez, but like to a kid, it's just you're just like talking a kid's language. Like Pez never went away. Like, oh, remember Etch a Sketch? All this stuff like that is just perpetual now. Like was sort of nostalgia. Like oh, I remember that stuff. I haven't seen that since I was a kid.
Pez, I got so much Pez, but that I would fool myself over and over again about like, I would just rather buy the Pez dispenser without the candy. Like the Pez candy, I just get so.
Yeah, you wanted the character. You wanted like the Michael Keaton Batman head. It's like, okay, I already have like a blue Batman head Pez, but now I want like the black Batman cowl. Yeah.
The jokes hit.
Yeah.
Picked up on some different gags that I forgot. Like there was a part where when he does the snow angel, he's like, I'm making a snow angel, and then he's like, I missed the gag where he was like, if you don't have snow at home, use 20 pounds of coconut shavings. And I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's good.
Or when he's doing the Marine choir opening, he's like close to them while they're doing their arm thing, and he keeps like having to like get out of the way of the.
So masterful. Like it was such a great like extended performance over it lasted about a decade, and it's just like really amazing, and it's like we didn't want Pee-wee to go away. Like he kind of went away. Like they kind of chewed him up and spit him out, and that he got that whole like kind of like a raw deal with his
He definitely did.
But like I was so ready for him to come back.
Me too.
And he kept talking about like over the years talking about doing like a dark Pee-wee movie, like a Sunset Boulevard, but Pee-wee.
Wow, that's awesome.
And then he did that Netflix TV special, like movie where it was kind of like Sunny Pee. It was just kind of like happy Pee-wee, and he did the Broadway show and stuff. So he's had something of a comeback, but like, still want to see that Sunset Boulevard Pee-wee movie.
That Netflix movie was co-written by Paul Rust, wrote it with him.
Okay.
John Paragon, John B. the Genie.
John B. So great, yeah. Because usually he's the deus ex machina that kind of gets Pee-wee out of whatever situation he's in.
They did the dreidel song, and she was like, follow the bouncing zombie head. And it's just his head fall along the words. I was like, that's amazing. And he helped Paul Reubens develop the Pee-wee character.
Yeah.
And Cassandra Peters with Elvira.
Elvira, yeah, she was in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. She plays like the
one
motorcycle.
Of the bikers.
Yeah, she's like, let me have him. That's so great.
I always think about the after he wins them over, he drives
right through the billboard. So great. I mean, I've watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure like 3 times in the past week, and I mean, every scene is.
Where's that streaming? Is it on HBO?
That's on HBO.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna be watching that.
Yeah, just watch it over and over. It's gold, and it just makes you feel good, makes you laugh. You're laughing all through it.
I love the. When they get that bike shop, they're in the basement, like talking about the missing bike.
Yes, yeah, and he's torture. Like he is like a narcissist. Like he's willing to if he's in a bad mood, he's willing to torture every single one of his friends.
They're all sitting there, and he's going through like we get out of a jam by doing tequila. We're like tequila.
That was a good lesson that you can you can get yourself out of trouble by doing dancing around in big shoes.
There's a biker bar. I like try that and get through like a plate glass.
Yeah, he just like it's kind of like the first hipster or whatever, because it's like making fun of like sort of corny old stuff.
Yeah, that makes
playing on nostalgia and sort of mocking this stuff at the same time.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Having your cake and eating it too.
I would get excited when he would pop up and stuff. Like Dunstan checks in. He has a huge role in that.
In Batman Returns.
Yeah.
As the Penguin's dad.
Yeah.
And that was like when they were announcing that that Paul Reubens was gonna be in Batman Returns, the rumor was that he was gonna play Robin. Which there's a missed opportunity.
Holy
right
shit.
That would really be taking you back to the Adam West series.
Wow.
If you had Paul Reubens as Robin.
He was in remember when there was like a urban legend that Tim Burton ghost directed Mystery Men? Do you remember hearing that?
No, I never heard that.
There's like, I think the director's name's like Kinka Usher, but there's like not much info on him out there, and people think that like Tim Burton the thing was like it's like he secretly directed Mystery Man under a pseudonym.
Okay.
Paul Reubens is in it.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I remember we need to get Kinka Usher on the show to like prove he actually exists, and it's not like a secret Tim Burton movie.
Yeah, just teasing this sort of Pee-wee return, which eventually did happen. I wish it would have happened when he was younger, because he's kind of, he's kind of outgrown the character a little. Like it's just there's like a window, where you can sort of convincingly play Pee-wee, and he pushed that a little bit.
You don't want your Pee-wee Herman to have too big of a paunch.
Well, I mean, like what he would have to do is play old Pee-wee, do like the Pee-wee Dark Knight Returns, like really do a Pee-wee Sunset Boulevard. Because previously, if he had made the Pee-wee Sunset Boulevard in like the 90s or the early 2000s, it would be sort of classic Pee-wee, but he's just grown like bitter and reclusive and whatever. But now he could do like old broken down Pee-wee.
That would be awesome.
It's like and where it would be maybe like a little bit of a tearjerker, where it's like the death of Pee-wee.
Oh
or something, like Robin and Marion or something, but with Pee-wee, like the end of the Pee-wee legend, and so many of his friends are no longer with Captain Carl's no longer with us. Miss Yvonne is no longer with us, and
Flory's been buffed over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff to draw on, because there's like the sort of Pee-wee's Big Adventure universe of stuff. And then there's the Pee-wee's Playhouse universe. They're kind of like two separate universes. Like they were kind of separately.
Yeah.
There's like some thematic overlap, but it's not like you see that bike from Pee-wee's Big Adventure in the Playhouse.
Dude, Tom, that's a good. You know what? Like even better than like the Sunset Boulevard Pee-wee. That's a great idea. Old like current like.
Well, because and if you did a Sunset Boulevard Pee-wee, he would be old. Like he really would be. It would be. Like old Orson Welles Pee-wee,
Wow, I would love to see that, but I don't want to be too sad.
He could do it. I mean, it would be like a really meaningful thing. Like I think it would rock. It's just again, like the last time they did Pee-wee stuff, the Netflix Pee-wee stuff was just kind of like pure nostalgia. It was kind of like a feel good thing, kind of bring you back to that old Pee-wee feeling.
Tom, we got to talk Paul Reubens. He's a great actor.
Yeah, he is really good. And again, he kind of felt trapped by he had created this character that was so popular and so huge that he couldn't really, get out of the shadow. And I think he might have auditioned for Saturday Night Live. You can imagine if he, was sort of able to develop a whole bag of tricks and not, beyond this one phenomenally successful character.
Would have been great to see him on there. I think he would have been. He's always a treat when he pops up. And
he hosted once. We'll have to check that out.
Oh heck yeah! I didn't realize that. I forgot about that. Yeah. Tom, I got some Pee-wee. Back in the Pee-wee verse here.
Yeah. We might have to do a Pee-wee week sometime.
Holy shit! I would be down.
You've been watching the Pee-wee's Christmas special episode of the Total Recall Show. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, and Fantastic Four Grand Design.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Tom Scioli or on Instagram at Tom_Scioli.
Follow me on Instagram at Cinema_Tomb.
And please like, follow, and subscribe to the Total Recall Show channel.
And you can follow the show on Instagram at Total_Recall_Show.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
And have a Pee-wee Christmas, everybody.
Mystery tracks in the snow. I was seeing
Magic Screen, meet Magic Johnson.